Comma. The comma is the punctuation mark that has the most uses. Commas are different from periods or full stops. Periods are used to separate sentences, commas separate words, ideas or phrases that are in the same sentence. Commas are always written without a space to the word they follow. Then, leave a space before the next word. That's a nice car, but it's expensive. Comma spelling rules. In English, comma is written with two M's. Coma, with one M, is used when a person is in a coma, unconscious and can't wake up. Commas never go at the end of a sentence. If the sentence is a complete idea, use a period, question mark, or exclamation point. If the sentence is not conclusive, use an ellipsis. The buffet has soups, salads, drinks. Uses of commas. These are the uses of commas. Separate series or lists of words, serial commas. Separate independent clauses with conjunctions, and, or, but, so, etc. Non-essential appositives. Non-essential relative clauses. Separate interrupters. Create a pause after an introductory phrase or word. Create a pause after a transitional expression. Pause after less emphatic interjections. Separate parts of dates and other time expressions. Separate coordinate adjectives, adjectives of the same category. Add question tags. Indicate direct address. Separate dialogues from attributives. Separate parts of conditionals. Serial commas. One of the most common uses of commas is to separate series of words. This is called serial commas. Serial commas separate a series or a list of related words or phrases. I will bring sodas, pizza, and cake. Serial commas separating single words. We have to go to the gym, buy groceries, and eat dinner. Serial commas separating phrases. His hobbies are singing, playing guitar, swimming, and watching movies. Combination of single words and phrases. When you separate a list with commas, you can put a comma before the word and or you can omit it. Both are correct. However, if you're writing a composition with many paragraphs, use only one option. Don't sometimes put a comma before and in other times don't. Be consistent. The patient was feeling dizzy, confused and tired. No comma before and. The patient was feeling dizzy, confused, and tired. With comma before and. Note, with compound words that contain and you don't use a comma, because the words are part of a unit. For example, the flavor cookies and cream. The flavors are chocolate, vanilla, pistachio, cookies, and cream. Commas before conjunctions. Commas are sometimes used before a conjunction, and, but, or, so, etc., to separate two parts of a sentence. Sometimes, it is correct to put a commas, but sometimes it is incorrect. Renata was angry, but Anna didn't care. The use of a comma is correct. That movie is funny, but also sad. The use of a comma is incorrect. What is the difference? To understand this, first you should know what an independent clause is. Independent clauses. A clause is a group of words that has a subject and a predicative, what the subject is doing. Johnny is singing. This is a clause. What is the difference between a clause and a sentence? A clause is simply a subject and a predicative. It may also contain extra information, like an adjective, a preposition, or an adverb. A sentence is also a group of words, but it can be more complex, have more descriptive information, and express a complete idea. I feel happy. This is a clause. Today, I feel happy because I was promoted. This is a sentence. A sentence can sometimes contain more than one clause. Johnny was singing in the classroom when the teacher arrived. Each one of these clauses is an independent clause. They can function independently from each other. Note, sometimes, a sentence is only correct if you join two independent clauses using a comma and also a conjunction. My friend was thirsty, so I prepared lemonade. Commas before conjunctions. Let's look again at these sentences. Renata was angry, but Anna didn't care. The use of a comma is correct. Renata was angry. Anna didn't care. These are two independent clauses. Renata was angry, but Anna didn't care. We join them with a comma and a conjunction. That movie is funny, but also sad. The use of a comma is incorrect. That movie is funny, but also sad. The second part doesn't have a subject or predicative. It depends on the first part to make sense. That movie is funny, but also sad. The sentence works without a comma. Here are more examples of sentences with conjunctions. Commas are only necessary when there are two independent clauses. We painted the bathroom blue and green. A comma is not necessary. We painted the bathroom and we fixed the shower. A comma is necessary. You can choose your career now or later. No comma. You can choose your career now, or one of our counselors can help you decide. A comma is necessary. There are two important exceptions. 1. When the two clauses are connected, like a cause and a consequence, don't use a comma. He asked her to marry him and she said yes. No comma. Mr. Jones asked a difficult question and only one student could answer it. No comma. 2. When the two clauses are very short. Dogs bark and cats meow. No comma. Jenny cooked and Mitch cleaned the apartment. No comma. Commas and appositives. Appositives are nouns or noun phrases that are written next to another noun or noun phrase. Appositives give more information about the first noun or clarify it. Examples of appositives. Walt Disney, the creator of Mickey Mouse, appositive, was a very proactive person. Vatican City, the smallest country in the world, appositive, is located within Rome. Appositives can also go at the end of a sentence. Valhalla was the home of Thor, the Viking god of thunder, appositive. In some cases, appositives are written between two commas. Bill Clinton, a former president of the US, is a philanthropist. In other sentences, it is incorrect to use commas with the appositives. There are two types of appositives, essential appositives and non-essential appositives. Essential appositives are written without commas. Non-essential appositives are written with commas. Essential appositives are an important part of the sentence. Without them, the sentence doesn't make sense or is not completely clear. Pink Floyd's album, The Dark Side of the Moon, has sold 45 million copies. Appositive. Pink Floyd's album has sold 45 million copies. Without the appositive, the sentence is not clear. Pink Floyd has 15 different albums. Which one sold 45 million copies? This appositive is essential for this sentence to have complete information. Pink Floyd's album, The Dark Side of the Moon, has sold 45 million copies. Note, no commas. Non-essential appositives, with commas. Non-essential appositives are sometimes just comments or descriptions, other times, they provide some information, but they are not absolutely necessary. Without them, the sentence still makes sense and is clear. Cancun, a tropical paradise, is the most popular destination in Mexico for tourists. Appositive. Cancun is the most popular destination in Mexico for tourists. Without the appositive, the sentence still has meaning. As you can see, this appositive is not essential for this sentence to give complete information. Cancun, a tropical paradise, is the most popular destination in Mexico for tourists. Note, use of commas is required before and after the appositive. Note, the appositive is always the second part of the sentence. The Taj Mahal, one of the 7 wonders of the world, is located in India. Appositive. One of the 7 wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal, is located in India. Appositive. In the first sentence, the appositive is non-essential. If we take away the appositive, the sentence, the Taj Mahal is located in India, is a complete sentence with meaning. Since the appositive is non-essential, we must put it between commas. In the second sentence, the appositive is now the Taj Mahal. It's interesting to note that now the appositive is essential. If we take away the appositive, the sentence, one of the 7 wonders of the world is located in India, is not as complete as the first sentence. It doesn't say which of the 7 wonders of the world is the one in India. The appositive now is essential and we don't use commas. Appositives are not only for famous people and places. You can use them for people, pets, places and things in your everyday life. Richard, one of my friends, is coming with me to the football game. Appositive. My car, a Volkswagen, was a gift from my grandfather. Appositive. When appositives are not famous or popular, it's important to know if the appositives are essential or non-essential. We sometimes use common sense. My neighbor Rita is coming to the party. We can assume that the person has more neighbors. In this sentence, it is important to specify that Rita and not a different neighbor is the one that's going to the party. Rita is an essential appositive in this case, so we don't use commas. Let's imagine you only have one cousin. The name of your cousin is Nadia. If you write, my cousin, Nadia, is an actress. Since you only have one cousin, the appositive Nadia is non-essential, with commas. If you omit it and write, my cousin is an actress, it has the same meaning as my cousin, Nadia, is an actress. There can be no confusion because you only have one cousin. Now, let's change and imagine you have 4 cousins, Oscar, Donnie, Brad, and Jude. If you write, my cousin Jude is a biologist, Jude is now an essential appositive, and you don't use commas. If you omit the appositive and write, my cousin is a biologist, this sentence can be confusing. Which cousin are you referring to? Brad? Jude? Oscar? Donnie? Specifying that Jude is the one who is a biologist is essential. Commas and relative clauses. Relative clauses are similar to appositives, they give more information or description about a noun or noun phrase. The difference is that relative clauses are more indirect, they refer to someone else speaking about the noun, or an antecedent something that happened previously. Relative clauses generally use the words which, who, or whom. This is an appositive. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the Austrian composer, is considered one of the best musicians of all time. The appositive, the Austrian composer, is a noun phrase that gives more information about Mozart. This is a relative clause. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, whom I admire a lot, is considered one of the best musicians of all time. The relative clause whom I admire a lot indicates someone, in this case, I, is referring to Mozart. Relative clauses go between commas if the information is not essential. The Beatles, who wrote many great songs, were born in Liverpool. If we remove the relative clause who wrote many great songs, the sentence still works. The Beatles were born in Liverpool. For this reason, the relative clause is written between commas. The Beatles, who wrote many great songs, were born in Liverpool. If the information is essential to understand the sentence, don't use commas. The student who destroyed the photocopier will be suspended. If we remove the relative clause who destroyed the photocopier, the sentence doesn't provide enough information. The student will be suspended. Which student? What is the reason for the suspension? This relative clause shouldn't have commas. The student who destroyed the photocopier will be suspended. Commas and interrupters. Interrupters are additional comments that are included in a sentence. They can give an opinion, indicate a feeling, or give emphasis. Interrupters are non-essential information. Therefore, they always go between commas. Note, if an interrupter is at the end of sentence, they go between a comma and a period. The washing machine, I'm sorry to tell you, interrupter, doesn't work. This hotel, interestingly, interrupter, used to be a monastery. The last part of the book is very good, unlike the first part, interrupter. Commas and introductory phrases. Introductory phrases give information about when, where, how, why, or by whom something happened. As the name suggests, they go at the beginning of a sentence and they are followed by a comma. If you put the same phrase at the end of the sentence, they are no longer an introductory phrase, and you don't use a comma. In some cases, there is only one word at the beginning of the sentence. This is called an introductory word. When, many years ago, humans crossed the Bering Strait between Russia and Alaska. Today, we will have a surprise exam. After class, we will eat at the cafeteria. In 2017, there was a terrible earthquake in Mexico. Remember, omit the comma if you put the phrase at the end of the sentence. Last month, I went to Acapulco. Comma. I went to Acapulco last month. No longer an introductory phrase, no comma. Where? In Copenhagen, there are more bicycles than cars. Across the street, they are building a theater. How? With the help of Google Maps, I found the correct address of the school. All of a sudden, it started raining. Why? Because of global warming, the weather is changing drastically. Since you didn't answer my messages, I made other plans with my friends. By whom? According to my aunt, Shakira is the best singer. As reported by scientists, antioxidants are good for your health. Commas and transitional expressions. Transitional expressions are words or phrases that help connect two sentences. They can indicate contrast, however, nevertheless, on the other hand, additional information, furthermore, also, sequence, first, second, then, next, finally, or clarify, for example, for instance. Transitional expressions go at the beginning of a sentence or after a semicolon and they are followed by a comma. Cars help people get to places that are far away. However, they also pollute the air and cause stress. When the weather is hot, you should wear light clothes. Also, remember to keep hydrated. It's not hard to have a Gmail account. First, go to gmail.com. Next, click on Create a New Account. There are many ways to improve your health. For example, walking a few minutes every day is good for you. Commas and interjections. Many interjections, words such as oh, wow, hey, are followed by an exclamation point and become a one-word sentence, but interjections can also be at the beginning of the sentence and they are followed by a comma. For example, I don't know. An interjection that has a comma instead of an exclamation mark can indicate that the sentence is less emphatic or doesn't express too much emotion. Notice the difference in levels of emotion. Oh, I'm so sorry, I hit you. Please excuse me. More emotion, use exclamation points. Are you looking for your sunglasses? Oh, I think I saw them in the living room. Less emotion, use commas. Wow, I hadn't seen you in years. More emotion, use exclamation points. Wow, this show is very boring. Less emotion, use commas. Commas and time expressions. Commas are used to separate parts of dates and hours. This makes multiple time expressions easier to read. Without commas, a date would be hard to read. Put a comma between each time expression. However, you don't need a comma in these cases. Between a month and a day, for example, April 17th. If you are only writing a month and a year, for example, Halley's Comet will pass near Earth in July 2061. With a day-month-year format, for example, Mexico's fight for independence began on September 16, 1810. Commas and multiple adjectives. When three or more adjectives are describing the same noun, we only use commas if the adjectives belong to the same category. Different categories. A very nice modern black metallic chair. Opinion. Age. Color. Material. These are adjectives of different categories, cumulative adjectives. We don't use commas. Same category. South Africa has a black, gold, green, white, red and blue flag. All these are adjectives describe color, they belong to the same category, they are coordinate adjectives. They must be separated by commas. Commas and question tags. Question tags are words or short phrases that are added at the end of a statement. With these tags, the statement becomes a question, sometimes a rhetorical question. They are used for persuasion, emphasis, scolding, looking for confirmation, or to make a comment more expressive. We have already seen this movie, haven't we? You don't really believe that, do you? This soup is delicious, right? I told you to bring an umbrella, didn't I? It's very sunny, isn't it? Commas and direct address. Direct address indicates that we are calling a person by their name or title. The name or title is separated from the rest of the sentence by a comma, or two if it's in the middle of the sentence. Vicky, do you want to come to my house? I would like to say, Daniel, welcome to the family. Happy birthday, Bob. Teacher, here is my homework. Nice to meet you, Mr. Lewis. Grandma, I brought you a gift. Commas and dialogues. When you are writing, sometimes you want to show that people are saying something. These dialogues must be written between quotation marks. To indicate who is saying each dialogue, you write an attributive. Dialogues and attributives must be separated by a comma. If the attributive is in the middle of the sentence, use two commas. Albert Einstein said, I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. Attributive. Dialogue. My sister shouted, get out of my room. Attributive. Dialogue. The math teacher explained, the numerator goes above the denominator. Attributive. Dialogue. Claudia asked, where are you going? Walter answered, I'm going to the barber shop. Attributive. Dialogue. If the dialogue appears first, write the comma before the second quotation mark. You are the most important people in my life, said Tom to his daughter and his son. Dialogue attributive. If the attributive is in the middle, write the first comma before the second quotation mark. Write the second comma after the attributive. 2 years ago, said the president to the people, we became a free country. Dialogue. Attributive. Dialogue continues. Note, if the dialogue appears first and it already has another punctuation mark, for example, if someone is asking something, there should be a question mark, don't write a comma. Putting too many punctuation marks together is not correct. When is your birthday? Asked Paul. Dialogue. Attributive. The first part is a question. It must end with a question mark. Comma isn't necessary because there is already a question mark. I'm going to tell you a secret, whispered Vlad to the scared woman. I am a vampire. Attributive. Commas and conditionals. Conditionals are sentences that have two parts, a possible situation and a probable result for that situation. These two parts are always separated by a comma. The first part, the possible situation, usually starts with the word if. The second part sometimes contains the word then. If you pay attention in class, you will be able to do your homework easily. If she's telling the truth, then why is she so nervous? Note, if you invert the order of the sentence, putting the probable result first and possible situation second, then you don't use a comma. You will be able to do your homework easily if you pay attention in class. They will play volleyball if it's not raining. Other cases. Commas are used to punctuate some specific phrases, as well as to, such as, and please. Some of these can be confusing. It's important to put the commas in the correct places, as well as. This phrase includes a second element. Use a comma if the phrase is in the middle of the sentence. Dolphins, as well as whales, are marine mammals. Don't use a comma if the phrase is at the end of the sentence. The teacher will check spelling as well as punctuation. 2. Don't use a comma if the word is at the end of the sentence. I took that class too. Use a comma if the word is in the middle of the sentence. I, too, support equality. Such as. This phrase is used to give examples. Such as is written between commas if the information it presents is not essential. Fruit, such as apples and bananas, is an important part of the diet. If we remove the part such as apples and bananas, the sentence still works. Fruit is an important part of the diet. In these cases, such as is written between commas. Fruit, such as apples and bananas, is an important part of the diet. If the information such as presents is essential to understand the sentence, don't use commas. Fruits such as watermelons and grapes don't grow on trees, they grow on vines. If we remove the part such as watermelons and grapes, the sentence would be illogical and incorrect. Fruits don't grow on trees, they grow on vines. Because many fruits do grow on trees. This part is essential to the sentence and shouldn't have commas. Fruits such as watermelons and grapes don't grow on trees, they grow on vines. Please. Polite word to ask for a favor. Please is usually found at the beginning or at the end of a sentence. Don't write a comma when please is at the beginning of the sentence. When please is at the end, a comma is necessary. Please bring me toothpaste when you go to the store. Can you give me a ride, please? Please can also appear after an introductory phrase or after direct address that have commas. Don't put another comma after please. If you have time, please read my composition and tell me if it has mistakes. James, please help me with my composition. Some sentences may contain two or more situations where commas are necessary. Commas should be used in each part that needs them. Examples. Relative clause and serial commas. Thomas Alva Edison, who was born in Ohio, invented the light bulb, the phonograph, and the motion picture camera. Direct address, dialogue, and conditional. Marty, the boss, said, if they don't finish the report before Friday, they will have to work on Saturday. Transitional expression, introductory phrase, and independent clauses with a conjunction. Nevertheless, in the years after the economic crisis, some people no longer wanted to invest their money, but many families had also migrated to other countries. If you write the name of a city and you want to mention the state or country to which such city belongs, you separate the name of the city with a comma. Cuernavaca, Morelos. Managua, Nicaragua. Los Angeles, California. If you are writing an essay, thesis, or an article and you need to reference an author, use a comma to separate the last name of the author and the year of his/her work. Humans behave differently when they are in groups than when they are alone. Freud, 1921. In a bibliography, write the last name, a comma, and the initial of the first name. Freud, S., 1921. Group Psychology and the Analysis of the Ego.